Thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast from Visit Aurora. From the rafters of the Stanley Marketplace, this is the show dedicated to telling the stories of Aurora, Colorado. Hi there, I'm Dave, the Senior Marketing Manager for Visit Aurora. Today I'm joined by Choi, the visionary founder of 3456, a local hub for Korean culture and K-pop enthusiasts in Aurora, Colorado. Great to see you, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell me, what's the Sean story? Where'd you grow up? How'd you grow up? What was life like as a kid?
So I had a pretty interesting life growing up, and I was born in Korea, and I grew up there until I was like 12, and then I came to the States alone. And, obviously parents wanted me to have better opportunity out here, so I came out, and every year I kind of moved around because, I had to have like guardians or, place that I needed to stay with adult care, right? So every year I had moved around, and obviously every time I moved around, I saw new people and new community, new culture, everything. So I was kind of forced to embrace that and kind of grow onto it. And, after many years of that, I just started kind of appreciating how everyone's so welcoming here. Luckily, I had that experience. Some may not. And as I was growing up, I got into, Korean culture, back into it when I got a little bit older, and I was really into like singing, music, and performance. So I would try to audition here and there, and always got involved with anything to do with music or cultural events. And now I'm here.
I just want to go back to what you said. You said you moved here when you were 12, and you moved here alone?
Yeah, by myself.
That takes some courage. What was your mindset at that? I mean, were you afraid? Were you excited? What was the feeling? I mean, I can't imagine being 12 years old. That's a 19-hour flight or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
And what was your emotional state?
Well, before I had moved, like 2 weeks before I actually moved to the States, my parents asked, "Do you want to go to the States?" And I was like, yeah, okay. Because my initial thought is I was heavily into basketball at the time.
Okay.
So I would wake up 5 a.m. every day just to go practice. And only thing that I would watch on TV was NBA.
Okay.
So in my mind, I had the dream of watching people play and being able to play with the actual US players, whether it's high school or middle school or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when I got here, I landed in Arizona in a boarding school. And the first day I was assigned a horse because I had to take care of a horse.
Oh, okay.
So in my mind, I'm like, wait, first of all, there's nobody playing basketball around me. Nobody plays it in this school, but I have to take care of a horse. And I come from a Seoul, which is concrete jungle, right?
Yeah.
But when I got to that school, it was nothing there. There was nothing but cactuses. So it was a big cultural shock. And I didn't speak any English. So there's a funny story about that later too. But so it was a big culture shock.
I have to ask, since I'm also a basketball enthusiast, who is your favorite player growing up?
And Jordan, for sure.
Of course, it's got to be Mike, right? And he's got to be your GOAT still, right?
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to check. So what led you to Aurora and Colorado, and then Aurora specifically, and then what led you to starting 3456?
Yes, so I pretty much, after about, once I got to the high school level of age, I grew up right on Havana Street.
Okay.
I grew up there all my life. And, that's where I started meeting everyone and, kind of built my work history. And as I was doing that, I got into corporate world for about 18 years, and I climbed pretty high, and I tried my best. But there were times when I feel like each morning when I wake up, I was kind of banging on a wall. Sure, working with technology is cool, and, I was doing decently in the field, but I always had the culture, passion and motivation, which I was doing it on the side for many number of years. And when I decided that I needed a new venture, I wanted to go back to my roots and what I really am passionate about. And the 3456 is literally, the culture, the heritage that we are embracing, and we're using what we offer as a tool to spread the culture. So kind of aligned.
When you're in that corporate economy, you feel like you're helping somebody else fulfill their dreams. You develop these tools and abilities. but then you still have your own dream. I imagine you had kind of set a foundation for yourself to know what pitfalls to avoid when you went out on your own.
Correct. I mean, I am very grateful that I did go through that corporate setting, because I had learned how to properly organize events, or being able to, work with a lot of people. So that really gave me the experience to be able to launch what I'm really wanting to do now. So I think without what I had, experienced, I probably couldn't be doing what I do now. So
I want to dive a little bit deeper into what 3456 represents. I think the imagery on the surface is, I'm thinking of dance steps, but it's a lot deeper than that, isn't it?
correct. So I started with the logo itself. The 3456 is pretty much the easier way to present what is part of actually a Korean flag. The markings on the Korean flag is pretty much like 3, 4, 5, 6 lines on each corner, and it represents like a harmony of anything that is in force. Like it could be seasons, it could be like personalities, and there's a number of different reasons, but it pretty much solidifies the main concept, which is tradition, authenticity with a modern twist. So yeah.
Aurora is home to Colorado's largest Korean community.
Correct.
Did you feel at home when you arrived here? Did you connect with that initially, or did it take some time?
So when I had really embraced myself into the Aurora culture, Havana, or the Korean culture, there wasn't that many stuff around.
Yeah.
Like I would say each high school probably had 10, 20 people, and not too many restaurants or, anything like that. So, we really had to stick together at the time, to, get to know each other and stuff like that. But as I'm seeing the progress in the past 20 some years, it is amazing to me how the community has grown, and there's more acceptance to the culture itself, to the other public, and that there is a community built now to support the Koreans and others, of course.
3456 obviously is an important element of the diversity that we have in Aurora, spreading Korean culture. What do you see 3456 role in that representation for our city?
First, I want everyone to enjoy the culture. That is the number one goal. Of course, there are different directions and different, routes that you could do, like whether it's food, or it could be more like an event type of thing, or it could be music, or it could just be language too, because a lot of people are now watching K-dramas and movies on Netflix, and it is much more immersive if you understand the language more. So yeah, that's kind of like the multi-direction, yet our main focus is that everyone has a safe spot, and that they could go home thinking that it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about all those elements that 3456 is involved in, and kind of how they all weave together to your overall goal?
Yes. Initially, we started as a Korean drink shop. And the reason is, I used to travel a lot. And of course, boba is a great drink, and they're all over. But personally, I can't do any powdery drink. It just kind of sticks to my throat and stuff like that. So I was always into teas. And when I was traveling all over the US, I was not able to find a Korean drink place, because that's what I enjoy drinking. And that's when I decided that the tea shop was the first step. And for us to really embrace our beverage culture to the public, and it's healthy, it's tasty, and it's kind of fun. Kind of like boba was, or is. And yeah, so we started with that, and as we participated more in outdoor events where we were vending or participating as a support, because I had a little bit of K-pop background from a long time ago, I naturally got involved in supporting any other K-pop events, and I do enjoy talking to people, so I kind of got into the whole MC arena of things where not everyone likes to speak in front of people.
Right.
So I decided to, volunteer for that for a while. And, I do have some music skills, even though it's nothing professional whatsoever. But I have basic skills that I can make sure the event goes well, or I could prepare whatever is necessary to make it happen. So now it's kind of like, entertainment, food, drinks, and anyone that is interested in Korean culture could come to us and be like, hey, is there something fun to do? Is there anything new I should try? Or what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And, we're very open to talk to people. So,
and I imagine when you started doing some of these events, you probably saw a gap, and I don't know if it's an authenticity gap or just a vibe gap, but you probably said, okay, this is cool, but I can elevate this through my knowledge.
Correct. There is a big K-pop scene in Colorado. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of talented dancers, and they're very passionate about it. But when I had returned kind of back into this scene, I was surprised that it was mostly non-Koreans. And I really enjoy that because that means our culture is being spread in a positive way. Yeah, like the connections that I have with the previous people that used to be in this scene, I am able to ask for their support or ask for their help or collaborate so that we could support the current scene out there.
The K-pop phenomenon in America has been explosive.
Yes.
And it's not a fad. I mean, this has been, I think 7-8 years now that it's really kind of been mainstream, for lack of a better term. Talk about that a little bit. What exactly to you is K-pop, and how does it balance embracing these new audiences, but also, as you spoke about earlier, staying authentic?
K-pop is a genre that is kind of still, even to me, is slightly gray. I mean, of course, it is a very prominent genre now. When you say K-pop, everyone thinks about a certain artist here, even in the US now.
Right.
But there are different genres in there, but mostly people are thinking about like the faster paced and, like the boy groups, girl groups, and things like that. But there are definitely other things that I would like people to understand and get exposure to. And yeah.
What you talked a little bit about some of the partnerships and the collaborations within the community. What are some of those partnerships that kind of are the glue that create this community here?
Of course, there are groups that are more legit, like the On Habana, or it could be the Koreatown. Those people I have known for a while, and they are amazing people, and they all share similar passion, right? It's the community that we need to build to, operate a life, in a better way. So, those groups are there to support, and there are more of a frontliner people where they actually do the events or plan out the events. And the best part is everyone's passion aligns, so everyone loves to work together. So that's where I thrive, because we don't have to talk about that portion. We know why we're doing it. And it's not about making money or anything like that. It's just about the fact that the generation needs a platform to experience, which is something that I never really had when I was younger. So that, it's like, I'm not a dad or anything like that, but I feel like when people have fun and leave, that must be the feeling of maybe having a child and they had a great day at amusement park or something like that, right? So that's kind of the feeling that we all like to embrace, even though we are at different entities and stuff like that. So
you might not be a literal dad, but I imagine when you throw events or you have classes and there are young people there, you can't help but feel like you're mentoring and kind of showing these young people your culture, and that's got to feel a little affirming, I imagine.
Yeah. And definitely the people that I see these days, they're much younger than me. Yeah. And they have much more knowledge about recent K-pop scene. And, I learn from them too. At the same time, if they have questions about the prehistoric time of K-pop, I can answer that. And, to them, it's like, whoa, it's like a history lesson, So sometimes that make me feel old. At the same time, I'm happy that I'm able to relay that experience of mine as well.
What do you think it is about K-pop that has been so resonant with cultures worldwide?
Good question. Some of the artists did a really good job in the past. Like everyone knows Psy, Gangnam Style, right?
Right.
So that song really made it take off, and it gave a lot of newer artists to reach out to other countries more. You know, it's more easier to do, and now they're more like willing to do, and that opens up, you know, obviously people get to hear it, people get to see it, and definitely like they curate their groups so they look good too, you know, like those boy bands, like I wish I looked like them too, you know. So
it's interesting because, you know, 20 years ago we were in our silos and there wasn't, you know, YouTube or these opportunities to be exposed to all these artists, and you can really go down a rabbit hole. Let's say you were exposed to Gangnam Style because it was such a pop culture phenomenon, and now all of a sudden you're watching this video and you get exposed to these different artists, and you go on your Spotify and hear these other artists, and all of a sudden you're researching the roots of the culture and the other things that go along with it, and the dancing and the food and the culture. There are no more barriers to entry, and that's got to be amazing, because now you're talking to an entire global audience. Like obviously what we're doing here in Aurora is very important, but now we're talking to everybody if you want to.
Exactly.
3456 has been a part of some incredible events in the community. Tell us about Lunar New Year on Havana Street, kind of the history of it and what we expect for this year. It's coming up here in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's actually happening in 10 days now. Yeah, it's almost right around the corner. Lunar New Year on Havana Street is going to be a very, very good event. It is with pretty much all the groups that I had mentioned working together to put on this celebration. And it is the second one on Havana is doing. And it's held at the Stampede, which is a pretty large venue.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of food, a lot of cultural, you know, performances and experiences. There's even like kids corner, and you know, there's firecrackers. So it's like a whole day of celebration. It's definitely an event that you don't want to miss.
You also are part of K-pop Rockstar 2025. The event is coming up, right? What can fans look forward to, and how is it different from previous years?
So K-pop Rockstar was an event that we had put on for the first time last year. Mm-hmm. And under 3456 Entertainment, that was actually the launch. And it was a singing competition, which Colorado hasn't had in a very long time.
Yeah.
And that's why it motivated me to do so. We have pre-screened down to 24 contestants, and it was course of 5 days. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and obviously the winner and the finalist will perform at the Lunar New Year as well.
Cool.
Yeah, but it was really different because, you know, a lot of the contestants were still under 21. They were over 18 at least, but they were coming with their family as a support and, you know, with friends, and a lot of them never heard their friends or family sing.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. So like you could see the eyes just like glittering, the parents looking at their kid on the stage and how great they perform. And it doesn't matter who won or who lost. That experience itself was a success to me.
Did you find that the artists were pretty polished, or did you find opportunities to pull them aside and maybe give us some tips and some pointers? Like kind of what's your role in that?
Luckily, I didn't have to give any pointers or tips to anyone actually. And a lot of them were a lot more talented than like when we were pre-screening for their acceptance. And some of them were really good.
No?
Yeah.
You also are a part of the Ask a Korean podcast.
So it's not a podcast yet.
Oh, okay. It's coming.
Yeah. So, you know, there's so many people, like I mentioned earlier, that they have questions and they have nowhere to really ask other than going to Google or researching themselves. Such as like language. If they're using apps or they're going to school to learn the language, like a quick question, like there's nobody to ask, like, other than, unless you have like a real good group of Korean friends.
Right.
And I saw that because a lot of my customers at my shop would ask me questions. And also like talking about what is the newest music, newest like shows or movies? Why does the subtitles don't make sense and all that stuff? So we were actually meeting once a week physically at my shop and, talk about all these things. But sometimes it snows, sometimes it rains, sometimes people just cannot make it because they're out of town or whatever the reason is. So they inspired me to turn it into a podcast this year. So I'm really excited, and there's a lot of people that are wanting to, let time into it too. So,
and this is just going to be another great outlet for you to share culture, and you can have all these artists on, and you can have community members, and you can have, folks that are running restaurants that are part of the food scene and all of that. So I imagine you're not going to have any shortage of topics. So you have these conversations anyway, might as well put some microphones in front of it and record it for everybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
What's kind of the long-term vision for 3456? What initiatives and projects and events are you looking to not only for this year, but for the future? How would you like to see 3456 grow?
Of course, I would like to start at the core, which is Aurora for me. And I will always be there to support any of the events that I can and creating a safe environment for enjoyable events. And 3456 is actually starting to reach out to other states starting in February, where we'll be doing few full performances out in LA. And we're looking to collab with anyone that really shares the passion.
What have you learned in your journey from starting 3456? What are some of the challenges, the obstacles, the opportunities? How have you kind of grown personally, and what have you learned through the process?
I would say the biggest challenge, yet the biggest learning, was that there's a lot of people who are not exposed to the culture, and it is not easy to dive into it at first. And, when I started the drink shop, of course it tastes good and it's got good benefits and stuff like that, but people just simply never have tried it. So it was tough in the beginning because I would have to literally talk to them and explain, sample them, and, kind of not convert, but let them enjoy it at the first line. And then, as the business now established 2 years, there are customers that I remember have never tried anything Korean, but now they know. And they're thankful about it, and they come back, excited to learn more. And that was the hurdle and the, I guess biggest reward at the same time.
I want to dive into the food a little bit. Aurora has such a diverse scene when it comes to the food. Obviously you probably have lots of friends, but do you have any personal favorite spots that you absolutely have to go to once, twice, 3 times a month?
Oh man.
It depends. I don't want to put you in a bad spot politically, but yeah.
No.
Run down your top 50.
Top 50, wow. I would have to say, rather than a specific restaurant, it would have to be really what they specialize in, right? Like some restaurant makes their Korean chicken really well, while one restaurant might have the most, in my personal opinion, the most authentic flavors in soup, or this place makes the best corn dog or something like that,
Yeah.
So I think it's rather than a specific restaurant, I think overall I could say that if you are craving something, if you see a food on a show, you could definitely find it somewhere in Aurora that'll taste good.
There was a thing that happened for hip hop culture in America where, it was kind of contained in this specific community, and it spread through cultural awareness. And then corporate forces got a hold to it a little bit, and then now it's on the soft drink commercial, and now it's in the movies. Is there any fear of forces outside of those who are directly connected to the culture getting involved in watering it down, so to speak? Is there any worry about that at all?
In anything, I think there is that type of worry, right? Once it becomes popular, some may see it as a channel where they can monetize. Mm-hmm. Of course, everyone needs to be some way funded to do what they do. But luckily, I so far have not seen any of those type of signs in Colorado or Aurora. And of course, I can't speak for bigger cities like New York or LA where they're developing artists. I'm sure that's a different ballgame there. But at least Colorado and people that I meet, they're just it's all out of passion. So far, nothing like that.
You performed? You used to perform? Is that?
Yes, you
still
perform?
Here's the thing. You're definitely not an elder.
Right.
I mean, you could definitely still perform. Is there an urge ever to get on stage? And by the way, were you a singer? Did you dance? Did you do all of it? Or you know, see what was your vibe?
So when I was growing up, I was a singer and a break dancer.
Okay.
So I was a little bit of both. Now, do I have the itch whenever I host a stage or something like that? Yes, I do. But I can't compete with these people that I see. So I'm just gonna do what I do the best, just talking to people. So I will, lay the ground and, introduce you as best I can and support you afterwards.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the basketball and NBA, because that's one of my passions too. And since you're an actual fan, how do we fix the game? How do we fix the NBA game right now? Number one, how would you fix it? There's some talk about pace and all the, the 3-point shots and lack of defense and stuff. A, does that bother you? And B, how would you fix it?
I can't speak for the whole game. I don't have that much knowledge, But I think, now that, before I feel like basketball was like a really, really much of a sport, like where, you're going there to see the players, of course, still to this day. But now it just kind of feels like a entertainment more, right? Like when you go into the arenas or to watch a game, I feel like the main focus isn't the game sometimes, whether it's like the shows or the food or drinks or who's there or people are just taking photos just to post on their Instagram or things like that. Like, because I'm a basketball lover, when I'm watching a game, I'm not really specifically looking at a player, but the overall game. And that's what excites me. The team, like how they're working together or how they're kind of like defending from the other teams. So like, I wish it was more focused towards that. I think it kind of relates towards what the question was earlier about the K-pop scene. Yeah. Like once it gets big, is it going to turn kind of like that? And luckily it's an entertainment compared to a sport. But yeah, so I think people, I like the game overall still.
Who are the artists that are on your Spotify playlist or your Apple Music playlist? Who are the artists that, for those who aren't really familiar with the K-pop scene, it may even be outside of K-pop, but what are the artists that you listen to that kind of inspire you?
That's a great question, because if you look at my list, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I like to listen to alternative type of music and, softer songs or sometimes really, upbeat songs. I would say right now what I like to listen to the most, I like BB. Have you ever heard of the artist named BB?
I have not.
So she is an amazing artist, and now she's dabbling into acting as well. And her story is unique. First of all, she's in an entertainment group under an artist named Tiger JK.
Okay.
And he's like the OG of Korean rap. Okay. And that's what I grew up, listening to in high school. And I had a chance to see him actually last year at KCON. And I followed his pretty much life story. And he ended up marrying like the best, or back then, or still the legendary female rapper. So they're like the best rappers that got married and had a kid, and his name
is Jay-Z and Beyonce of K-pop.
Right? They named their son Jordan.
Nice.
Yeah. And they grew up in LA, so they're like from around here as well, so they have the both side culture too. And I guess they were just listening to like SoundCloud and stuff like that, and they just heard this track and just scouted her. So she went to a non-norm of K-pop industry where they train for like years before they even get a chance. And when she came out, she had this like aura of like uncured diamond.
Okay.
And as she drops every song or every music video or any type of anytime that she drops, I see it getting polished. And she has an amazing voice, and she dabbles into different genres as well. So yeah, that's who I've been listening to quite a bit lately.
That's BB?
Yep.
All right, we'll check out BB. That's a great recommendation. High praise right there.
Yeah.
Lunar New Year, 10 days from now, how do people get more information? How do people get involved?
So on Habana, if you go to their social platform or website, you'll be able to find the most updated information there. And, we will also be posting quite a bit of material too. And it's happening on next Sunday. It'll be 12 to 6 at Stampede. And there'll be just things happening all day, so you don't want to miss any of that.
How busy are you right now? Has it been a whirlwind, or do you feel like you're in a good spot?
Pretty good spot. Yeah, I mean, I do take decent role in that event where I'll be emceeing the event, so I need to, familiarize with every performers and anyone who's involved, and which I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And we have the main stage where we'll be doing some performances, and there's this kind of a hush-hush performance that we're preparing. It should be a really good one. And 3, 4, 5, 6 with the Korean, drinks, we also make mixers.
Okay.
So you'll be able to experience the Korean cocktails there as well. So there's a lot happening for me in the next 10 days.
We're looking forward to it. Visit Aurora will be there. We also have details on our website at visitaurora.com. That was Sean Choi, the founder of 3456. Make sure you learn more at 3456t.com and follow along on social media at 3456t and 3456ENT. Sean, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast. Visit Aurora is the official destination marketing organization for the city of Aurora, Colorado, and acts as the primary liaison between meeting planners and hotel partners. As Aurora's Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Aurora's mission is grounded in showcasing Aurora as a premier destination for meetings, business, and leisure travel. Visit Aurora represents more than 75 plus hotel properties with 13,500 plus guest rooms and more than 1 million square feet of meeting space, including Colorado's largest resort, Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center. As Colorado's third largest city, Aurora is located minutes away from Denver International Airport and showcases mountain views, memorable meeting spaces, and 250 plus international eateries that offer a unique experience for each and every visitor. As the gateway to the Rockies, Visit Aurora's role in the local community goes beyond marketing the city as a destination. The Visit Aurora team is here to assist you with your Colorado visit, from facilitating your meeting, event, or convention to helping you discover local flavor and attractions. Go beyond the boardroom in Aurora, Colorado. For more, visit us at visitaurora.com.